Hey guys, Ron from FunctionBuilt-Aquatics, and I wanted to give you a quick update on my macrostoma pair. So after the failed attempt, the male swallowed within 8 days. I was able to actually leave them together, and they spawned within 2 to 3 days afterwards. Since then, the male has held on for over 10 days, pretty much close to 11 to be exact. And what I did was today I took a chance and I removed him from the 40 breeder. I put him into a 20-gallon tank that I had set aside for either him or the female, just in case things were getting a little rough. I didn't want him to actually release the fry in the 40 breeder. Too big of a tank to contain the fry and make sure that they get fed properly. And even though I believe a 20-gallon long is also a little large for fry, I usually prefer 10-gallon tanks. I figured I didn't want to take the chance of stressing him out and having him swallow. I've done this before with a lot of unimacs, and I realize unimaculata are not exactly the same as macrostoma in regards to holding. I know that some unimacs will pretty much hold for the duration with no issue, and I was taking a great chance in doing this. But I'm not pressed to try to get this pair to have fry and juveniles and babies for us so we can turn around and make profit. You know, as we all know, there's not a whole lot of profit in breeding fish. We do this for the love, conservation of the actual species, and also for the educational purposes. That is truly my method of madness. Number one, I enjoy keeping the species. Number two, I like the educational aspect of it. Number three, hey, if I can recoup some expense in a 40 tank fish room, no problem. But if the fish would have, swallowed and I would have had to put them back together and spawn them again, I was in no rush. I know eventually they'll give me what I'm looking for. The female is now on the 40 breeder by herself with the group of coolie loaches, and the male was just moved into this 20-gallon breeder, just 20-gallon long, I should say, in the bottom. And yes, he's still holding. This is going to be a pretty small clutch. His mouth is not huge, but he's constantly turning what I believe still to be the eggs in his mouth. And I put him in this tank earlier this morning. That was about 5 hours ago. And he seems to be doing fine. The tank has the same exact water from the 40-gallon breeder. As a matter of fact, I used the water from the 40 breeder to fill this tank up. The pH and temperature are exactly the same. It's pretty easy to keep the temperature the same in my fish room since I just basically heat the room. The lower tanks are typically a little bit warmer, and I should say a little bit cooler, and then the upper tanks are a little bit warmer, of course, because hot air rises. But for the most part, I keep most of my fish within the 72 to 76 degree range, and that's Fahrenheit. So he's being maintained at about 74.5, and the tank he was in is pretty much the same level, 74.5, and a pH of about 5.5. So I'm going to probably leave him be. I turned the light a little bit backwards so he's not getting blasted with any high intensity light. But for the most part, I'm expecting him to spit and release the fry in this 20-gallon long, and we should have a successful spawning within the next 5 to maybe 7 days. So we'll see. We'll go from there. 19-20 days is pretty much what I think the norm is for macrostoma. This is my first macrostoma pair that I've actually spawned. So stay tuned for more. FunctionBuilt-Aquatics. Give us a thumbs up, a like. Any questions, hit me up. Follow us on Instagram. I'll put a link on that. And our website also. Thanks, guys. See you.
The real, while they be losing the race trying to chase mass appeal.